Hi, I'm BFP4, and this is one of my many reactions that I haven't done in a long time. So today, I'm going to be watching Political Favorites Confessions of a Sonic Fan video. I did ask him, and he said go for it, and it's a kind of a special day for me. It's my birthday today, so let's get on with it. Okay.
We go through a lot of phases growing up. When I was a kid, I had phases of being really into Digimon, Power Rangers, Mega Man, and tons of other stuff. But eventually we find that one thing that we get so
Although, granted, I was into the more modern stuff of Power Rangers, not Mega Man, I don't know where that is. And also Digimon, mainly the fusion. Hold on. Sorry, had to take care of some stuff. So yeah, let's get back with the show.
into that it goes way beyond a phase and basically defines our entire childhood. And for me, that thing was Sonic the Hedgehog. And it was everything, man. Video games, cartoons, toys, cards, comics, I was deep into this junk. And while I'm not quite as big of a fanboy now as I was in elementary school, today I'd still call myself quite the Sonic fan. But, of course, Sonic's not.
Yeah, I'm also a Sonic fan. Although granted, the first time I ever played Sonic was, well, with the Classic Collection on DS.
The easiest thing to be a fan of. We all know what Sonic is, and we all know it's one of the most love it or hate it series in video game history. The old school 2D games are classics, and the 3D games aren't. Except the ones that are, it's weird, man. And I've been along for this ride for as long as I can remember. So today, I want to bring you guys some confessions of a Sonic fan. But first, I gotta give a huge
Let me get rid of the sponsor real quick. Here we go.
and enjoy a safer internet. Thank you to Private Internet Access for sponsoring, and now, let's get back to Sonic. So, this all goes back to those far-off days of 2001. Aside from being actually 2 decades ago, oh my god. These were also the days of the Nintendo GameCube. Yeah, I got one of these purple boxes for Christmas that year, and with it, a copy of Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. Now, I have absolutely no memory of why I wanted this game in the first place. We were a Super Nintendo family, so I never played any of those old Genesis Sonic games, and we definitely didn't have a Dreamcast, so I also never played the original Sonic Adventure games either. But it didn't matter. I was a 6-year-old with a new GameCube and a Sonic game, and literally the only thing I remember from that point on is pure, unfiltered obsession. From there, I was all about Sonic. And the GameCube just happened to be the system to have back then if you were looking for Sonic games. I'm talking Sonic Adventure DX, Sonic Heroes, and most importantly, Sonic Mega Collection. This was my first introduction to the history of Sonic. This was how I first got to play Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Sonic and Knuckles. Plus, the game was full of extras. There is a direct line between me watching this game's Sonic retrospective video when I was a kid and this entire YouTube channel existing. Then there was everything outside of the video games. I've talked before about how much Baby Fofi loved the Sonic X anime, that old Sonic movie, and all the old Sonic toys. But good lord, how have I never talked about the old Sonic comics? When I was
I've heard about the comics, but I never read them because I'm not very much of a reader.
a kid, I used to go to my local bookstore to get whatever the newest issue was at the time, and I pretty much never got them in order. And let me tell you, the Sonic comics of the early 2000s were, something else.
Yeah, because of Archie and all that. I may have not read the Archie comics, but I know some of them about it.
Issue could just be about a pop singer, and then the next one I got could have Sonic actually crying on the cover and feature panels like this. Yep. That's a real thing. But it didn't matter. If it had Sonic on it, I was gonna love it. And this one's a little bit more embarrassing, but I can't not say it. I used to draw a ton of Sonic fan art. Now before you say anything, I wasn't making Sonic OCs, and aside from showing 1 or 2 drawings and videos, these do not exist on the internet. So, you get it. I was a Sonic fanboy through and through. But unfortunately, the 2000s weren't all bright colors and butt rock for Sonic. Right at the height of my Sonic obsession, the series started to get funky. In 2005, we got Shadow the Hedgehog, aka Sonic with Gun. This game pulled a complete 180 into being dark, gritty, angsty Gun. In retrospect, this game was kind of the beginning of the end for Sonic being on top of the world. The game's just kind of a punchline today. So naturally, I love this game! Yeah, we're getting into the real confessions here, because I have what you might call trash taste. A lot of the truly classic Sonic games, the games that everyone loves, yeah, I think those are great. But for some reason, the Sonic games I'm always drawn to the most are the ones people say are the worst in the franchise. So when Shadow the Hedgehog came out, I was like, oh, heck yeah! And I played it to death. Heck, I actually beat the game. I could never finish games as a kid. I don't know, man. Something about this game featuring an angsty bipedal hedgehog with amnesia running around.
Funnily enough, that's just one of the endings. There's like 10 different endings to get the true ending, and you have to do various tasks, either being the hero, the neutral, or the villain.
Shooting actual real guns and falling off the stage a lot really resonated with Baby Fofi for some reason. But then came the most dreaded year in Sonic history, 2006. Shadow the Hedgehog might have been a little misstep for the series, but 2006 was when Sonic just slipped and fell down the entire staircase. This was the 15th anniversary of the franchise, and they celebrated by releasing a huge new game just called Sonic the Hedgehog for Game Boy Advance. Yeah, known today as Sonic Genesis, this game was supposed to be a faithful handheld port of the original Sonic 1. It was not. Basically, take the original game, zoom it in, and make it not work. For real, this game can barely run on the GBA. The game slows down constantly, and somehow they even messed up the music. And guess what? I love this game too. This quickly became one of my most played GBA games, period. I mean, I never made it past the second zone, and now I know why. Game kinda smelly, but even though I had a much better version of Sonic 1 right there on my GameCube, plus tons of higher quality Sonic games for my GBA, this was the version I spent the most time on. It's an objectively bad game, but I kinda love it. But this isn't the big 15th anniversary Sonic game you want to hear me talk about. Sonic's main event in 2006 was, of course, Sonic the Hedgehog, aka Sonic 06. This is one of the most infamous games in history. It was weird, it was way too big, it was overly dramatic, but most importantly, it was released totally unfinished and broken beyond belief. But Baby Fofi didn't know any of that. All I knew at the time was, new Blue Boy game! I want that! But unfortunately, I could not get! Sonic 06 was exclusive to the Xbox 360 and PS3. I had Wii, so I was stuck with Sonic and the Secret Rings. Which, can I just say, Secret Rings is way worse than Sonic 06? Like, yeah, 06 is stupid and broken, but at least it has some controls and not just a bunch of Wiimote tilting that never feels like it's actually working, and I'm getting distracted. So, Baby Fofi wanted Sonic 06 more than anything in the world, but with no Xbox or PS3, I was out of luck. That was until around 2014 when I finally had the money to buy my own dang games. I walked into a GameStop, bought a used PS3, and one game, Sonic 06. Yes, really. I finally get a PS3 nearly a decade after they came out, I have one game to play on it, and it's Sonic 06. It was fulfilling a moment in my childhood that I never got to experience. Give me a break. And guys, I'm not here to tell you this game isn't a broken mess that is objectively bad, but God, is it fun? I mean, fun for all the wrong reasons, but still, I have a riot playing this game. And considering some of the games I did grow up with, I'm pretty sure if Baby Fofi had been able to play this back in 2006, he would have had absolutely no problems with it. And apparently I was just on some kind of Sonic kick in 2014, because not long after that, I picked up the most recent Sonic game at the time, Sonic Lost World for the Wii U. You remember the Wii U? It was like the Switch, but worse in every way, and no one bought it. Now this is another super controversial Sonic game. Not really because it's glitchy or unfinished, but just because it changes up a lot of the gameplay. It took a lot of inspiration from Mario Galaxy to varying degrees of success, and that change just didn't sit well with a lot of fans. But today, I'm here to defend this game. Sonic Lost World's really cool, man. It's not perfect, but I like it a lot. For one, this is legit my favorite 3D Sonic game visually. Generations probably did a better job translating the 90s Sonic aesthetic to 3D, but I don't know. I like this more. It might just be my dumb, fizzy soda brain being addicted to bright colors, but whatever. And all the planet and tube-shaped levels, I think, are a really cool change of pace from the normal Sonic gameplay. Like, I know a lot of people love it, but I think the modern Sonic boost formula gameplay style is a little boring. It's not bad, not at all. It just kinda all blends together for me. Lost World takes things a little slower, which I know sounds like the exact opposite of how a Sonic game should work, but I really think it helps this game be a bit more memorable, to me. The cutscenes are kinda garbage, but that's always been the case with Sonic. But this game did get really cool DLC levels based on Zelda and Yoshi of all things. I've replayed these levels alone dozens of times. What other Sonic game has this kind of stuff? It's so cool. So yeah, Sonic Lost World is good actually. Port it to Switch, cowards! And now it's time for the Sonic Lightning Round! AKA a bunch of my rancid Sonic opinions that I didn't want to talk about for too long. Number 1, I hinted at this before, but I'm not huge on Sonic Colors. I get why people love it. It's a good game, and it was definitely a breath of fresh air for Sonic at the time. But it just never really vibed with me. Same with Unleashed. Number 2, Sonic Forces is fine. Like,
Now, this is the game that got me back into Sonic, so it holds a special place in my heart.
nowhere near as good as Colors, but it's just inoffensive to me. I don't know why it got so much intense hate when to me it was just there. Number 3, Sonic Battle needs to make a comeback. It was a weird Smash Brothers clone for the Game Boy Advance. It was one of my favorite GBA games. I want a new one. Number 4, I don't really mind Sonic Boom. Maybe it's because I played it after all the glitches were patched, but the game is basically just a mediocre Ratchet and Clank clone at its core, which is a decent concept. The devs just weren't allowed to finish it. Which, seriously, Sega, stop forcing developers to release games before they're finished. You've done this like 10 times now, and it always ends up bad for you. Number 5, the worst 3D Sonic game is actually Sonic R. I had this on PC as a kid and I've never felt more lost. And lastly, number 6, Sonic 3D Blast might be one of my favorite Sonic games. Okay, I'm actually gonna get into this one a little bit. This game was released for the Genesis back in 1996 and attempted to do some kind of 2.5D thing with Donkey Kong Country style graphics. Unlike the other old school Sonic games, it's less about getting to the end of the stage and more about exploring the stage to find these little birds called flickies. They're all trapped inside the robots, you free them, you put them inside this ring thing, and that's the game. It plays like a slip and slide and looks like it's made out of Fisher-Price toys, but dang it, I spent so much time on this game. As weird as it is, I think it's really unique, super interesting, and I honestly return to this game way more than any of the other Genesis Sonic games. It's flawed beyond belief, but I love it. Again, trash taste. But that's the thing, man. As weird and bad as some Sonic games can be, they always have a charm to them that only Sonic games really have. There really is something about this series that keeps people coming back, no matter what. And I just really dig when Sonic steps out of the box and does some weird junk, even if it doesn't really work out. So with that said, I think to round all this out, it only makes sense to give the newest release, Sonic Colors Ultimate, a fair try. I know a lot of people were hyped for this one. The original is one of the most popular Sonic games ever. Surely they gave it the time and resources it needed this time around. Aw, man, that was great!
Well, that was pretty cool. I must say, I really like it. Anyway, see you guys next time for another reaction of what I feel like it.